My name is Melissa Campbell. My husband, Jason Campbell, is a former Cedar Falls firefighter. He worked at Cedar Falls Fire Rescue for a little over 12 years. He received the Firefighter of the Year award in 2010 and 2018, and he resigned at the beginning of October. I'm making this video because even though I don't really like politics and I don't typically have a lot of strong opinions about most things, I feel very strongly that what's going on right now in the Cedar Falls Public Safety Department is not in the best interest of the citizens, and it is dangerous for everyone. Although my husband no longer works for the city of Cedar Falls, there's a lot of people that we care very deeply about who still live and work in Cedar Falls and attend UNI. There's a quote from Martin Luther King Jr. that I really like that I think sums it up really well. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. Well, I feel that the issues that are going on right now in the Public Safety Department are a life and death issue, and that matters. So I can't, in good conscience, stay silent, especially now that I am finally able to speak out without worrying about my husband getting in trouble or losing his job. The administration has created a work environment that uses fear and intimidation to get people to stop talking. Some firefighters have been investigated over petty issues, but other people who work for the city do the same things and are not investigated. Even though my husband doesn't work for the city of Cedar Falls anymore, I can't share specifics because firefighters that we care about are still employed by the city, and it's for their sake that I can't share any more than that. The firefighters in Cedar Falls care very deeply about the safety of everyone in the city. It would be a lot easier for them to say nothing, to just go along with what the administration is saying, but they care too much to not say anything. Their job is on the front lines. They are bearing the brunt of the consequences of all these decisions being made by Director Olson and by the City Council. They're on the front lines seeing what's happening and how this is all playing out, and their ability to do their job is hindered. They don't have enough staffing, they don't have enough full-time firefighters to do what they have to do, and they are having to watch over PSOs who haven't received the training that they need. It's hindering their ability to do their job, and that is a huge safety concern for everybody involved. They're just voicing concerns, and I feel like that's something that anyone with a conscience should do. About a year ago, I, along with some other firefighter wives, wrote a letter that we submitted to the Courier, and it was published. In the letter, we outlined our concerns about the lack of full-time firefighter staffing and safety concerns with the PSO program due to lack of training and how they were not being trained to the same standard as full-time firefighters. Around that time, many of us were also sharing information through social media, and our husbands were collectively told by the administration, if we catch any of your wives sharing things that portray the city in a negative light, you could be terminated. There is a really good chance that the grievances that have been referenced in the media lately would not exist if there were standard operating guidelines in place. When the minimum staffing level dropped from 7 to 6 and then to 5 with the 6th person being a PSO, that changed everything about the standard operating guidelines that were in place previously. Everyone has a job on a fire call, and the SOGs, as they're called, are designed to make it very clear who performs what job and with what equipment. Because the staffing level changed, those old SOGs were obsolete, so fire personnel requested new SOGs, Director Olson and Fire Chief Bostwick have not provided those SOGs and continue to not provide them despite repeated requests. Leaving the Cedar Falls Fire Department has caused a lot of changes in our lives. We are not, my husband and I aren't living together right now because he had to start his new job, and we're still trying to sell our house here. Our kids are finishing out the semester at school, so right now we only see Jason about once a week. So it's challenging parenting alone most of the week, and our kids miss him a lot, of course. We are, well, another thing that's been difficult is Jason lost all his seniority. He was on Cedar Falls for 12 years, but in the firefighting world, when you start over, you lose everything, all your seniority, and he's a probationary firefighter at a new department. Financially, it's been a really big blow. We've taken about a 30% pay cut in order for Jason to start over at the new department. So obviously that's been challenging. We're also moving to an area where the cost of real estate is higher. So because of that, our family of 5 will be living with a very gracious relative for a little while we keep saving up for a better down payment on a house, at which point then we'll hopefully be able to move. We're leaving behind a lot here in the Cedar Valley. We have several family members that we're very close to. We have a lot of close friends who feel like family. We love our church family. We love our kids' school. My husband has lived in the Cedar Valley most of his life, so this is a huge change for him. It's hard to leave this home behind. Our kids are sad to be leaving everyone and everything that's familiar to them. They've only ever lived in this house, in this community, so it's going to be a huge change for them. We never planned to move. We always thought that we would live here for the rest of our lives, but we just didn't feel like we had much of a choice. It was either stay in an unsafe, very toxic work environment or move. So obviously we chose to move, and I am looking forward to my husband's new job and all that our new community has to offer, but it's still very hard to leave, and we're grieving what we're losing. There are a few things that I think are really important for citizens of Cedar Falls to know that are not common knowledge. One thing is the physical agility test for public safety officers was changed actually a couple of times. The original test, which is a firefighting specific agility test, it's very rigorous. It has common firefighting scenarios included in it. A number of PSOs were not able to pass that test, so they decided to do a different test called CPAT, which is a nationally recognized test. I'd say the standards were a little less rigorous than the original one, so they went to that one. A number of PSOs were still not able to pass that test either, so they then, the administration then decided that the police physical test would be good enough and they would count that instead, despite the fact that it does not have firefighting specific scenarios. Another thing that has been said a lot in the media is that public safety officers are trained to the same level as a full-time firefighter. That is not true. All of the current firefighters have been required to have a firefighter 1 certification or higher. The vast majority of full-time firefighters have much higher than just a firefighter 1 certification. Many of them have firefighter 2, fire officer 1 and 2, hazmat, EMT basic. That is something that all full-time firefighters that have come on are required to have, which comes in very handy because a lot of their calls are medical in nature. That's the majority of their calls. Public safety officers are required to complete firefighter 1 training, but they only have to have a basic first aid type of medical training. They are not required to have an EMT basic level certification. Another thing that I think is important for citizens to know is there was a comment made recently by Mayor Brown regarding firefighters that have left Cedar Falls and have gone to Urbandale Fire Department, and how Urbandale's fire department virtually mirrors that of Cedar Falls. That is completely untrue, and if you'd like to read details and facts about that, you can visit the Stand Up for Safety Cedar Falls Facebook page and read the post with a letter from Rob Zond, who is a union representative from Urbandale, and he outlines exactly why that's not true at all. Shortly before my husband finished his time at Cedar Falls Fire Rescue, there was a surprise visit during one of his shifts where Director Olson, Fire Chief Bostwick, Administrator Ron Gaines, Mayor Jim Brown, and City Council members Tom Blanford and Frank Dara showed up to the fire station unexpectedly, and they talked to the firefighters on shift about how this PSO program is here to stay, it's not going anywhere. And during that time, Director Olson stated, "This program is evolving." Now, I looked up the definition of the word experiment and found a couple. The first one is a course of action tentatively adopted without being sure of the eventual outcome. The other definition that I found was try out new concepts or ways of doing things. Now, I know Director Olson has stated before that the PSO program is not an experiment, but that sounds like the very definition of an experiment to me. If you are concerned about these issues, please join us at the City Council meeting on November 5th, 7 p.m. at the Cedar Falls City Hall. Also, wear red in support of career firefighters. A couple other things you can do are to contact your City Council representative and let them know about your concerns. And you can like the Stand Up for Safety Cedar Falls and local number 1366 Facebook pages, and you can invite your friends to like them as well.